gentlemen, we are sitting here with legendary comedian and commentator Steve Hofstetter is gracious enough to give me about 15 minutes of his time. So I'm going to get right down to the questions. Fries or onion rings?
I used to be fries in those, but I actually, this is going to sound stupid, but I'm 45 years old and I just now learned that the only thing you need to do to maintain weight is count your calories. Mm-hmm. Like, working out helps and all that other stuff helps, but, and I realized onion rings have fewer calories. So even though they seem like they'd be less healthy, onion rings.
Follow-up question, what is your favorite dipping sauce for that?
Ooh, honey mustard. I'm definitely a honey mustard guy. And that is true for fries, for onion rings, for tater tots if they need, which a good tater tot does not need any dipping sauce. Chicken fingers, just honey mustard is my go-to. But I'm also someone that wants it, because you can go like more honey than mustard or more mustard than honey.
You gotta have that balance between the tang and the sweetness.
Yeah, I want it like 60 to 70% mustard. Little extra mustard, but still somewhere between.
Yes. All right, so you're on the road a lot. Go to a brand new spot. What is one of the first signs that you are going to get an absolutely amazing meal?
Ooh.
I was going to ask you some good questions, man.
No, that's a tough one because I think it's kind of different every time. Mm-hmm. I've been bamboozled plenty of times. I think that if too many locals recommend it, it's not good. Mm-hmm. Because if a ton of locals recommend it, that's just because of local pride.
True.
The same way that, like, I don't understand how people in Cincinnati eat Skyline chili. I don't understand that. And they're like, no, you gotta try it. I'm like, no, I don't. I tried one bite of it once, and I was like, I don't need to eat this.
I feel the same way about a lot of California items too. So
yeah, I would say the smaller the place, usually the better it is.
Agreed. Saw the video you posted of your world-class coffee rig and all your different syrups, and you carry your own syrups with you on the road. Which syrups do you actually carry with you? What are your top 4 favorite ones? Because I've got the same container for my hair supplies. When I go on the road, I saw it, I immediately recognized it from Amazon.
So that's something I just started doing, and I'm really glad because hotel coffee is garbage.
I agree.
And sometimes we're in too much of a hurry on our way to the next city to stop for coffee. Sometimes the only coffee anywhere nearby is a Starbucks, which I may as well have hotel coffee. So one of my favorite flavors, and it's not something I want to have every day, but one of my favorite flavors is a banana syrup. It mixes really, really well with vanilla, with a caramel especially. And then I also like raspberry. Raspberry can kind of cut through any sort of bitterness or burnt flavor in the coffee.
Okay.
So right now the 4 that I have with me are white chocolate, caramel, banana, and raspberry. But sometimes I'll do like a pre-mix of one because I like variety in the flavor.
Yeah, totally.
And so with each trip, I'm choosing different flavors. And one of my favorite mixes, and it's going to sound weird, but it was something that a coffee place once made for me. A friend of mine was going to go get coffee. We were shooting a movie, and I asked him if he could go get some coffee, and he's like, what do you want? I was like, surprise me. Get me something weird. And he told that to the coffee place, and they gave me orange pistachio. And it was so good.
I can see that being really delicious as a flavor pairing.
It was so good. And so now sometimes I'll mix the 2 ahead of time in like the little travel thing, and I'll bring that.
So you really put some thought into this. I love it. Okay.
Yeah.
So, being from New York, where is your favorite place to go get a slice?
That's a tough one. I think probably Pizza Park on First Ave.
Pizza Park on First Ave. I'll make sure to tag him in this. Absolutely. Yeah. Now, next question. You deal with hecklers, you deal with idiots on social media all the time. Has there ever been an occasion where somebody has said something to you that was so stupid that your brain literally reset while you were trying to process it?
No, because I expect it to be dumb.
Okay.
But yeah, it's something where sometimes the dumber, like there have been times when I've said things like, I'm going to repeat this back to everyone so you know that this wasn't a dream.
Okay.
This is something we all heard together, but let's make sure we all heard this correctly.
All right, now next question, because it's the holidays. Is there a dish that you used to have growing up as a child that you wish that you could still have to this day? Something you wish you could replicate?
For holidays specifically.
Anytime, anything you had growing up as a kid.
Well, there are two things. One, so I'm Jewish, so one is a good homemade latke.
Oh yeah.
It's hard to beat a good homemade latke, and when I'm saying that, I'm not talking about like that, I'm not talking about a flattened tater tot.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about like potatoes and onions and tons of grease, and like that's a homemade latke.
Yeah.
But also, my mother makes these rolls for Passover that, like, you can't have leavened bread. Mm-hmm. And so they're these, like, matzah meal rolls, but they're also sweet. And that with some cream cheese on them, so good.
That sounds delicious.
Yeah, and that's something that, like, it's not like I've ever seen them anywhere else. I'm sure they exist somewhere, but that's a family recipe that's generations.
Well, and that's one of those family things that, you're never going to be able to replicate Grandma's recipes. Even as a chef, I can't do that. That's the brass ring that I'm always striving for. So
yeah, one of these days I'll ask her for the recipe so I could try it, but I'll fail miserably.
It's going to surprise you, but one thing that I learned is, like, especially my grandmother's sweet potato pie recipe is, all due respect to Grandma, I've said this 1,000 times, her recipe is trash. She was a war wife from World War II. But she had the one thing that I'll never be able to attain, and that was the love that only a grandmother can have for her 13 grandkids, and that level of, like, that's what I strive for. So
yeah.
Now, you do over 200 shows a year. What is the first thing that you do when you get back home to Pittsburgh?
Like, food-wise?
No, just in general. You finally got back off a long stretch of the road, put your keys down. What's the first thing you do when you get home?
I mean, the first thing I do is nothing. Like, just try to veg out a little bit. But there's a place in Pittsburgh that my wife and I love going to. It's called Aspinwall Beans and Cream.
Okay.
That's our go-to coffee shop. They also have a great bagel breakfast sandwich that I enjoy. And it's not like New York bagel style at all, but it's a good egg and cheese. It's very enjoyable. And it's just, the staff is awesome there. The lattes are great. It's just a peaceful place. And so that's our go-to. There's also a hibachi place we love called Ichiban. A Thai place called Thai Table. I'm trying to think of like that those are most of our go-tos, but it's not the first thing when we get back, but like our like spoil ourselves meal is Del Frisco's.
Okay.
Pittsburgh doesn't really have an independent steakhouse. They're all chains.
Yeah.
And we like Hyde Park, and then we tried Sullivan's, and no thank you. Our favorite, there was an indie one that went out of business, View 412, and so we were looking for a new place, and we tried Hyde Park, we were happy with it, but then we went to Del Frisco's, and now that's and I know it's a chain, it's in about a dozen cities, it's so good.
I'm going to tell you right now, I know you're on limited time in San Francisco, but if you have a chance to, John's Grill has been around since 1908, and it is literally the best New York strip that I've ever had in my life. So even if it's not this trip, next time you come in, it is an old school wood paneled mafia style steak bar. It's got historical connections to the Maltese Falcon. But my God, literally the best New York strip I've ever had anywhere in my life. So next time you come into town, make an effort to go there. Now, to get back onto topic with you being on the road, because you're on the road so much, has there ever been a time that you've woken up in a hotel room thinking you're in one state only to walk outside and find out, oh shit, I'm 2 states over?
No, I'm pretty good with that. Like it's something where I'm a morning person and I'm a night person. It's the middle that messes me up.
Okay.
But usually, like, when I wake up, I'm pretty alert, and, I know what's going on. I'm a logistics person, so I know where I am when I fall asleep, and I know where I am when I wake up.
Now, that leads me to my next question, because you keep such an incredible schedule, and I've definitely done the same thing. How are you able to stay fresh on the road with having to travel and then still being able to give 100% at your performance and not feel the jet lag?
I'm not. I mean, sometimes I'm not. Like, there are off days. Everyone has off days. I do my best to, like, remind myself how much fun this is, and like how much I would have given to have this when I first started, and that helps a lot. But also, there's just decompression time. There's, when I'm on the road by myself. I mean, I'm always on the road with friends. But sometimes my wife can come with me. Often she can't because of her job. I bring my dog with me. That helps. Just kind of keeps you grounded. You gotta, walk him, and especially in nice weather, that's lovely. I do a decent amount of VR. It's a good workout, but it also just makes you forget about everything else. And then, when showtime comes, showtime's the easy part. It's the travel, it's the tough part.
Very cool. Now, do you still get stage fright, and if so, how do you manage that?
I don't. That's something where the stage, and I'll talk about it during my set, but because my set right now is about anxiety, mental health, but the stage is the part of my life where I feel like I'm in control. I'm sure that if it's, for something big, like if it's a TV taping or something like that, I'm just like, this needs to go well. So there's an element to that. But the second that first joke hits, everything's fine. So, for the most part, like people will say like, oh, do you get nervous before you go up? I'm like, do you get nervous when you go to work? Like I've been doing this for 22 years. I better be used to it.
Yeah, no, and I feel the same way about the rush in the kitchen and handling the stress like that most people think I'm nuts for, and I'm very comfortable because I've been doing it for 3 decades.
Yeah.
So it's second nature. That's where, that's my happy spot. So 2 more questions real quick.
Yeah.
What is the dumbest thing that you have ever purchased on a whim?
A home sauna.
How'd that turn out?
I think I've used it like 3 times. I'm not a sauna person. It was a celebratory thing. The reason I bought it was the first time that my tour was really going well, and I was drawing, I was like making enough that I could get myself something stupid. And I specifically wanted to get myself something stupid. I am very frugal, and it's something where like, I don't know if I'll ever, it doesn't matter how much I'm making, I will always look at prices on a menu. I will always look at, the price tag on a shirt. I will always consider that because I grew up with hardly anything. And so I think that's ingrained in me. I refer to it as poor habits.
Yeah.
And so that was something where I was like, for the first time in my life, I want to buy something completely unnecessary, completely dumb. And I did, and it was.
Good.
And now I'm probably going to sell it for half of what I paid for it, if I could even get that.
Last question.
Yeah.
Do you regret doing this interview with me?
No, not at all.
All right.
Not at all. This was delightful.
Dude, thank you so much for
Thank you,
taking the
Seth.
time out of your busy schedule to do this with me. You're an absolute masterclass in having to deal with trolls. I have learned so much from
Thank
you
you.
over the years. And the fact is that, you actually have an insightful way to put a positive spin on this stuff, and you're not just going toe to toe. You're actually using your brain and inspiring positive change. So I wish you the best of luck with not only your tour, but with Sunken Bus Studios, and
Thank
I'll
you.
be posting all the information so that people can find out more about what you're doing out in Pittsburgh, how you're helping other artists, and things like that. So, again, thank you so much, Steve.
Really appreciate it, Seth. Thank
All
you.
right, man. We're done. Cool.
All right, cool.
Mind if I
Excellent.
get a selfie with you?
Yeah, not at all. Not at all. And then I'm
Let
going
me
to
trim
scarf
off-
this